Stellar Life, mission log number 250.
We receive messages from our angels, from the Creator, all the time, and we become disconnected from those messages if we are stuck in lower vibration, if we are focusing on the negative news, if we're focusing on things that are not of the higher realms, but of the physical realm.
Welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. Get inspired and live out loud. From love, freedom, and success to having it all. Here's your host, coach, speaker, and shining star, Orion.
Roger, you're looking good.
Hello and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. This is your host, Orion. I feel grateful and proud to share with you an interview that I did actually for Get Yourself Optimized, which is my husband's podcast. And I'm so proud and so grateful because Stephan was the one who pushed me into doing podcasting at a time where I didn't even believe that I can. And I had all the excuses in the world not to do it. And I'm so happy that I did because I grew so much from this podcast, both because I gained my confidence in myself and my ability to communicate and share my message with the world and help people. And also because in the past, I used to look at some of the guests that I had on this show and I was like, little me will interview somebody so great. And now I can see us as equal. People that I used to put on pedestals. Now I can see the light in them. I can see the God in them. And I can also see the light and the God in me. And it's just beautiful, multi-layered experience, this whole journey. And even at times where it was hard for me to podcast, where I didn't feel like I need to keep going, where I just wanted to give up, he kept pushing me, kept supporting me, still supporting me. And I'm so grateful that he did and that he does. And I'm very proud of him. And so to celebrate his 6 years of podcasting and 300 episodes without missing a week, I interviewed him for his podcast. And we talked about what happened to him in the last year, because the last 14 months have brought tectonic shifts to all of our lives. Most of us felt fear and uncertainty during these global shifts, and yet there is always a silver lining. Some of the most powerful epiphanies and transformation have come through these challenging times. That's the case for Stephan, and I'm sure that's the case for you too. For this episode, Stephan digs deep into his personal journey of finding light within the darkness and thriving in times of chaos. He shares his experience of moving abroad to one of the most strict locked down countries in the world during COVID times, which turns out to be an incredible time of awakening and spiritual transformation. And I can be the witness to tell you that the husband I took with me to that country, that you will find out which country it was, he came back a different person and he's still in this process of evolving and growing. And it's really beautiful, sometimes challenging to be around, really beautiful to watch, really interesting, really fun, really exciting, really intense. And I feel very grateful that we get to grow together in this way. In today's episode, you will discover the spiritual practices that are helping Stephan tune into higher vibration and manifest miracles. And now, without further ado, on to the show.
2, 1, 0.
I'm here with a world-renowned SEO expert, a spiritual seeker and guide, and my beloved husband and the father of our son, our little baby, Stephan Spencer. It's really an honor and a pleasure having you here.
It's great to be here.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. Every day is such a gift.
Wonderful. Why don't we start with some thoughts about the passing year, which was crazy, and what was it like for you?
Well, for me, it was just blessing after blessing after blessing because I felt like I had been gifted this incredible foresight into why things are happening, how things are happening. It's like getting a glimpse into the Matrix and seeing what the Matrix truly is. And it has been incredible. It has taken out a lot of the fear, anxiety, and frustration that I had experienced in the past, because I can see more of the bigger picture. I can see more of the connections between the cause and effect.
So that's very, very interesting. And I'm sure everyone that listening is wanting to know, what is the Matrix? And before we get into that, how did you get this? Would you call it an awakening?
Yes, it was an awakening. It's not the first awakening I have experienced, but it's the most powerful one to date. So my first awakening was in 2012. We talked about it on a past episode. Maybe it was 100 or 200. Now we're at episode 300. So now I can say, looking back, that was such an incredible, beautiful gift to have received that awakening in India in 2012. 2 months later, we met and we fell in love instantly. And I'm so grateful for that. This most recent awakening started because I had prayed to God for a job. And it was from watching an interview of Sheila Gillette. I was preparing for my interview with her. I saw this video of her explaining how she had this near-death experience. It had gotten really to the brink of her passing, and she prayed. This was on her deathbed from complications from childbirth. It was in 1969, and she prayed to God, please let me raise my kids, let me stay on the planet. Please, God, give me a job. And that just inspired me and stuck with me. Several months later, I decided I'm going to pray for a job. And I didn't want to have a near-death experience in order to get the job. So that was part of my prayer, is like, please just give me a job. And the next morning when I awoke, I had this new perspective, this new insight, this new view into reality. And I could see the quote-unquote simulation.
Right. And would you say that you had some guides or helpers in the way here in the physical realm, like Dr. Dreamer, like our coaches?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I've had so much assistance from both the physical and the non-physical realms. You have been instrumental in my path of awakening. And
so? You told me.
You're my teacher. You point out when I'm getting off the path, or when I'm being arrogant, or having spiritual ego, or when I'm getting stuck in my head or not seeing the bigger picture. You keep me on the path. You keep me honest. You keep me humble.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so Dr. Dreamer is one example of an amazing coach / practitioner that has helped me with this awakening, this most recent one.
And what does he do?
Well, you know full well from experiencing his amazing entrainments as well. But let's talk through this for our listener who isn't familiar necessarily with this thing called network spinal analysis or network chiropractic. It's a form of energy healing. I had the creator of it on this podcast a while back, maybe 100 episodes ago, and that's Donnie Epstein.
Yeah, Donnie Epstein.
Donnie's amazing.
Donnie's a wizard.
Yep. Yeah. He's trained many practitioners on network chiropractic. You lay on a chiropractic table and you're face down and you feel stuff happening and they're not even touching you. The practitioner may touch you lightly, but they may not as well. And yet you respond.
Mm-hmm.
And it's incredible seeing somebody have this wave on their spine that just starts happening.
Yeah, and maybe we can add a video in the show notes where you can actually see Donnie's hardly even touching the air near that person's body, and you can see a wave on the spine. You can actually see the spine, that the energy goes on the spine. What it does, it aligns the spines on the physical level, but also on the spiritual level. It's a very in-depth method that people are studying for years, I guess, to figure it out. And people have been studying the wave in universities for many, many years, and it seems to do miracles for people.
Healing. So people get
lots of healings.
Spontaneous remissions and recoveries. And for people who are spiritual seekers, it helps them plug in to the fabric of creation.
Yes.
Yeah.
What else was instrumental in your journey this year?
Oh, and Dr. Dreamer is based in Tel Aviv.
Yes. We were in Israel, experiencing lockdowns.
Yeah.
It was awesome, and it was also really hard with all the lockdowns.
Yeah. But now we're in Florida, having left 2 weeks ago, and now in the last 4 days, there have been about 2,000 plus missiles that have been rained on Israel, and a house near where my sister lives got hit, and a person died, and some children died, unfortunately, and it's just a terrible, awful war. Awful, 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 awful war. And because we are listening to our guidance, we are lucky enough to have some spiritual teachers that are in our lives and coaches, and we got the same information from 3 different sources on almost the exact date of when we should leave. Actually, one of them was our Kabbalah teacher, who actually gave us the date to leave, and we acted upon it. Because when you get the guidance, when you get a message from more than one person, when you're tuned in and you get the message and you act upon it, it can launch you forward in a better way. It can highlight your path of where to go. Yeah. So we got guidance from Eliyahu Jian, Kabbalah teacher and spiritual coach for both of us, who is a guest on this podcast. Definitely an episode worth listening to. Mm-hmm. We got guidance to leave Israel also from Anne-Marie Pizarro, who was also a guest on this episode, on this podcast. Mm-hmm. And that was the Akashic Records episode, amazing episode.
Yeah.
And also Mark Nelson, again, a guest on this podcast. And that was about a year ago. In June.
We like to share both of our podcasts. We like to share the people that we truly enjoy and truly, some of them are friends, some of them are a part of our lives in some way, shape, or form. Some of them are just kind of like strangers that we let in and find that they're amazing and wanted to share their wisdom. So everything Stephan and I bring to you on our podcasts, both Stellar Life podcast, which is mine, and Get Yourself Optimized and Marketing Speak, are all people that we are less Marketing Speak. This is more your world, but people that we are connected to and learn from, and think that it's so important to share what they are doing and their knowledge with you and with the world, because this world is pretty tough. In the last couple of years, it's like a cup of Turkish coffee. I don't know if you have ever had Turkish coffee, but it's just powder and water. And then the powder sinks to the bottom and you drink the coffee, but it just seems like whatever forces are in this world are just stirring and stirring and stirring, and all the mud is getting up, and you need some clearance. You need to connect to some guidance in order to see the light sometimes, because this is a difficult year for many, many people.
Yeah. And it's also an opportunity. A lot of people I'm talking to, people I've known for years and years, telling me they're sharing, confiding that they're receiving guidance. They're They're receiving messages.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting awakenings, and it's beautiful. Some are seeing angels.
Mm-hmm.
A friend that we both know from Tony Robbins' Platinum Partnership, she told me on a Zoom call, I don't know, maybe three months ago, that she saw angels, and this started happening in the last year.
Yeah. Yeah, we get it from many, many sources. It's almost like a taboo. We live in a world where BDSM is not a taboo, but talking about angels is a taboo.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Another mutual friend of ours, he's been seeing angel numbers, didn't know what it was for a decade, him and his wife. What was it, 333? And he didn't realize that that's an angel number.
Yeah.
Angels are trying to
communicate through numbers, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes when you see sequences of numbers like 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, just like different sequences of numbers that keep reappearing in your life, you can just go on Google and say angel number 1212 or 1111 or 5555, and you'll find the meaning for that.
Yeah, there are lots of meanings you'll find in Google, but the one that just kind of pops off the screen for you is the one that the angels are trying to communicate to you.
And if it's not, just go in and maybe you'll find a different meaning.
Yeah, so just keep digging.
Yeah.
Click on some of the results that you're guided to click on. There are also angel number books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just ordered one, in fact.
Yeah, so awakening, the way I see it, it's not a straight line. You don't just one day, I'm awakened and I am so holy and nothing can affect me and nothing can shake me. I feel like we experience a lot of moments of awakening, and it's not linear. We go like this and like this and like that and like that and like that. And it's our job to maintain our state.
Yeah.
And to take some times during the day, even if you're so busy, and do something. If it's a breathing exercise, if it's meditation, you've started to do it. What is your ritual every day? What do you do every day to connect?
Well, since I had the recent awakening, it was actually, I just figured out the date because I had taken some notes on the Notes app, and I just checked the creation date of that, January 22nd. So ever since January 22nd, I have, without fail, done my Anabakoa Prayer every morning and
what
now
is the
every
Anabakoa
night.
Prayer?
It is the most powerful prayer in Kabbalah. It has 7 lines. It's the 42-letter name of God broken down into 7 steps. Each line has a meditation, and the first letter of each word in Hebrew corresponds to a letter of the 42-letter name of God. So, Annabekoa, Gudalati Micha, Tatir Tsaroa, Kabel Rinat, Machas, Agvenu Taren Nora. I don't know Hebrew. I don't understand
It's the most Hebrew notes.
But
unfortunately,
because
it's been
all
years. It's been hard.
Yes, you want me to learn Hebrew? I know.
Our 1.7-year-old son knows more than you know, so you got to catch up, baby.
Yeah, well, he has
No excuses.
a lot of neuroplasticity.
You can do it.
Okay, so the Anabekoa Prayer, it's the power of it isn't just in speaking aloud the words. You don't have to know Hebrew. You
can scan it.
You scan it and you speak it. By scanning it,
and it does not make you Jewish, or it's not a form of like becoming a certain religion. It is of the Jewish tradition, and everyone can do it. You don't need to change who you are, what you believe in. It's just like adding a little bit of sugar to your coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can add sugar to coffee, to tea, to hot chocolate, to cakes, cookies.
Okay. Using the Anabacore Prayer as a way to connect to the Creator, to open up the channel of receptivity and receptiveness, and to meditate on each line of the 7 lines gives me a reminder to, for example, be more aware of the bigger picture. I'm asking for clairvoyance, for access to the bigger picture. I'm asking for the ability to connect to the tree of life and disconnect from the tree of knowledge.
What's the difference?
Tree of knowledge is all about good and evil and
right and wrong,
duality and
dichotomy.
The polarities and the separation.
Black
and
and
so
white.
forth.
Black and white. There are more and more shades in the world.
Yeah.
More colors in the world than black and white. Sometimes we see things just, this is like, this person is completely good and this person is completely bad and this situation is completely good and this situation is completely bad. And then our focus, our energy goes after that.
Yeah.
And it can be out of balance, out of harmony.
Yeah. We create our own reality. So by in quantum physics, there was the double slit experiment that showed that light is both a wave and a particle. And when you observe the light, then it collapses down into only a particle. It is no longer a wave by the fact that you've observed it. So if we have that kind of power to change reality just by observing it, then we have the power to make somebody be judgmental or angry or selfish or whatever because we characterize them that way. So we've collapsed their infinite possibilities down into a single particle of selfishness or distractedness or whatever, pettiness, whatever we think that we see in that person.
Right. And not only that, there is the concept of protecting your eyes that we just heard, right?
Yeah. Protect your eyes. That's beautiful. So important. I knew that message was for me because I was swapping my SIM cards. I had an Israel SIM card and a US SIM card, and one of the SIM cards, as I was swapping, that fell to the ground. It's like it flew off onto the ground. And as I was picking it up, I looked to the desk to my phone that already had the US SIM card in it that I just put in. And of course, it was blowing up with all sorts of new text messages. And the one that caught my eye, so David Guillaume, who is a guest on this podcast,
again,
amazing Kabbalah teacher.
And all of the guests that we are mentioning right now, they're all going to be in the show notes on getyourselfoptimized.com.
Yes. I just happened to notice that one text message from David, because he has a daily 1 minute of wisdom. I click on it. I'll include this 1 minute audio in the show notes so that everybody can listen to it. So it's all about protecting your eyes.
Yes.
That we receive messages from our angels, from the Creator, all the time. And we become disconnected from those messages if we are stuck in lower vibration, if we are focusing on the negative news, if we're focusing on things that are not of the higher realms, but of the physical realm, like, for example, lusting after other people. Let's say that you are walking down the street and you see some pretty woman or whatever, and you pay attention. You are the most beautiful.
No, me going down the street.
Well, this is what you need to protect your eyes against, is looking at other people and feeling lust or desire for them when you have already been gifted with your soulmate. And also to lust after or envy the other things in their life, like, neighbor has a new Porsche or whatever.
Yeah, it's hard.
So protect your eyes from this stuff. So you don't even go to the beach where all the
So
the
that
women
sounds a little extreme to me, because we are going to go to the beach. You are going to come across beautiful women, and I'm going to come across handsome men, and we are going to see all that. So is the protection meaning we need to just isolate ourselves on the top of the mountain and don't go anywhere, or is the protection is just an awareness? And I think an awareness and acknowledgement of our feelings of this person is attractive, and I do feel attracted to that person, and now I'm in the awareness of, but I am married to the love of my life, and I'm just gonna put it away and just appreciate the beauty of that person and let it go. Because I think that if we're just gonna shove it down and be like, I don't see that, but you do see it, it's gonna be more of a struggle. As soon as you feel your feeling and I'm kind of like, let it be and let it go. And that might be, as far as I see, a better way to handle it.
Yeah, what you resist persists. So I'm not saying to fight it. I'm saying if you can avert the eyes, that's good. If you can avoid situations where you're going to get a lot of exposure to things that are going to tempt you, that's good. And if you have to be in those situations...
I cannot go by an ice cream store and get...
If you're going to have to go to work at the ice cream store every day, then you're not going to be able to avert the eyes or to...
Right.
I'm being figurative when I say the ice cream store, whatever that means for you. And if you just simply have the awareness. So as I would walk down the street, if I noticed that I was coveting, okay, so that's number 10 in the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not covet.
I have no idea what coveting means.
Envy.
Envy, okay.
Or desire, and I would just make a note to myself. I would speak it in my own internal voice without speaking it aloud, covet or coveting, or I'm coveting, right? And if I'm walking down the street and I'm judging somebody, then I say in my head, I'm judging.
And what happened if you say I'm judging?
It helps me to be aware of those lower vibrational states. And then over time, I don't experience that as much. It's like it helps me to, stage 1, be aware, and then stage 2, to do less of it as time goes on.
So what's so big? What's the big deal about coveting after your neighbor's Porsche? No, like really, what's the implication of that? And how can we do it in a way of like, yeah, I want it and I want to manifest it into reality without feeling the weight of it and the jealousy?
Yeah. Okay. If you're coveting the neighbor's Porsche or the neighbor's wife or whatever, then you're not in a place of gratitude and abundance in your own life. And you are also not in a place of purity of thought, and that then spills over into purity of word and then purity of deed. If you have impure intentions and you still create pure words and pure deeds, to the outside world, that looks beautiful. They don't know what's going on inside your head, inside of your soul. But if you have all three aligned, purity of thought, word, and deed, you elevate to this higher place of, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like you become Neo in the Matrix, sort of. You got all these, the plug-in for Kung Fu and all that sort of stuff. It's amazing. And then when you drop down, you just lost the program. Temporarily, it'll come back. But the difference between purity of thought, word, and deed, and impurity is like being a regular human or being Wonder Woman or one of the other superheroes. In terms of being able to manifest stuff and be able to receive messages and to have clairvoyance, clairaudience, any of these kinds of special abilities, it's a huge, huge, huge difference between purity and impurity. And
what if your values are, this is okay to be impure, this is okay to do this and this and that?
I mean, that was okay for me. Up until the time when I saw the Matrix, so to speak, I'm like, oh, yeah, none of my thoughts are private. None of my thoughts. I've never had a private thought. Not only can God hear each and every single one of my thoughts are on display for the entire unseen world. It's as if I'm speaking it aloud with a loudspeaker. Family members, loved ones who have passed hear these thoughts. Angels, fallen angels, the demons, everybody hears it.
So are you doing it a pure intention that you're doing it from? Are you doing it out of fear? Everybody's listening to me, so I got to be a good boy? Or are you doing it? What is the reason why you are doing this? Why you are?
That's a beautiful, important question.
Yes.
I do it because I don't want to create negative angels.
Tell me about that.
So negative angels are created, and this is a teaching from Kabbalah I learned from Eliyahu. Angels are created by our thoughts, words, and deeds. And if our thoughts are pure and words and actions are all pure, we create very powerful, positive angels. If we have impure or problematic, negative thoughts, and yet we create the positive action, then we create angels that are mischievous or that are duplicitous, and they will lie to us. They will trick us. So we've created lots of these angels over our lifetimes. And if we listen to angels, we need to know that these angels aren't the ones that are kind of tricksy. These are the ones that are pure and telling us the truth. So we always have to check the information, the guidance, the messages that are coming, that they are coming from the angels that are, even, if it's an impure, tricksy angel, I don't know, that's not even a word, but you know what I'm saying. It's not necessarily that the information is wrong. It might be mostly right. And so if you go into it with some kind of trust but verify sort of positioning, then you'll be able to get the information, the messages, and to also know that not everything that you get is absolutely pure and spot on.
So how can you figure out what's pure and what's not?
Well, when you're getting a message, let's say that you're not even just getting a message, you're getting an entity in the room, right? You interviewed Karen Noe. That's a great episode, by the way. I loved that episode.
Thank you. So
Karen Noe, the psychic and medium, she had this incredible experience where something in the room that was an energetic, non-physical being, entity that was glowing, came close to her, and it was coming closer and closer, and she said to it, "If you're not of the light, please leave." It ended up being St. Francis of Assisi, but she didn't know that at the time. So if you are not of the light, please leave, and it still kept coming. And she repeated herself, "If you're not of the light, please leave." And of course, it was of the light. So you can ask whatever entities to leave if they are not of the light. You can do saging, smudging, these sorts of cleansing and clearing things to clear the space. And in fact, there's a great episode on your show.
Which one?
Kim White, where he talks about saging and smudging and clearing the energy. And then you can ask the guidance that comes in your head that's like in the form of intuition. Is this of the light? Is this from you, God? Or is it not, right? So if it's not, so you just basically ask the question, God, is this you speaking?
Yeah.
And if you get a yes, then that's the way to test it. It's either a no or a silence, then you can't trust it.
Okay, good. I want to go back to your morning ritual. So
great.
You said you were doing the Annabekoa, which is a Kabbalah prayer.
Yeah.
What else do you do every day to keep yourself on a higher vibration?
Well, there's this prayer called the Metatron Prayer of Protection and Abundance that I was led to through the guidance, through the angels that led me to this prayer and to the website of a particular medium I'll get to in a few minutes. But this was channeled, this prayer, and I do it every morning and night, and it is very protective. It's very, very powerful. And I have to say that I know without a doubt that these prayers are protective and powerful, because not only am I listening to my guidance in the form of intuition and messages that come into my internal voice and my consciousness, but also I get goosebumps all the time. And goosebumps are very important because...
I can give you some goosebumps. That's very true.
I also get goosebumps from doing the Anabacore Prayer and doing the Metatron Prayer of Protection and Abundance. A lot of times. A lot of times. And that feels amazing, and it helps to give me that feedback that I'm plugged in.
And one more thing that you do that I think is wonderful, because we are, Dr. Wayne Dyer says that we are a spiritual being having a human experience. So when we are having the human experience, we need to do something physical too that will help us connect. and also can calm our physical nervous system, which is breathing.
Yeah.
Breathing is so powerful and such a wonderful way to calm down your nervous system, calm down anxiety, and also connect to the higher realms.
Right. We are physical beings. And
we need to take care of that too. I mean, it's that we can't just leave all la 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 angels and all that. And it's wonderful. It's great. It's nice to connect. But we live in a 3D reality. This is what, like, our souls came here into the physical body, and we live here. We have to do everything that we need to do in this 3D reality.
And we can also coexist in the 5D reality too.
Right. And so we need to do both. So we need to take care of both our physical bodies and our lives, our loved ones, whatever we need to do to
pay
live,
the bills,
live as a human being. And we can coexist in both the 3-dimension reality and the 5th dimension where you can have glimpses and find answers and connect more to your intuition and guidance and
have intuition. I have awareness of your awareness.
Awareness of your awareness.
Yeah, and the awareness that the intuition is actually angels whispering in your ear, and not just this is your subconscious.
Right. So breathing is a wonderful way to take care of both.
Yeah.
And you like a specific, all types of breathing practices are fantastic. And Stephan is practicing a certain one that he likes the most for now.
Yeah, Wim Hof breathing.
Wim Hof.
Yeah, Wim Hof, the Iceman.
For the out.
We'll include a YouTube embed in the show notes for a Wim Hof breathing exercise. So who's Wim Hof?
Let's talk about this extraordinary man.
Yeah, he's won many medals and lots of awards, recognitions, Guinness Book of World Records, many, many times. He can submerge himself in freezing cold water or ice for an incredible amount of time.
And every time I see him, he looks like such a pure, genuine guy. Like somebody I wish would be, you know what, let's manifest it into our reality to have him as a friend.
Yeah.
I want him to be my friend.
Yeah. Not just a guest for our podcast.
I want him to be my friend. Wim Hof, if you're hearing this, be my friend.
Yeah. He is an amazing, amazing person, an amazing soul. And so, yeah, I have been doing a lot of Wim Hof breathing. I don't do it every day, but I do want to get to that place where I do it every single day for 20 minutes. And you can do the breathing where you breathe in and breathe out, breathe in, breathe out fully and quickly, you know, like to a point where you get kind of lightheaded. It's for like 20 seconds or 30 seconds, whatever it is. Again, just listen to the guided exercise with Wim Hof, which we'll include in the show notes.
They also have an app, and you can download the app and practice.
Yeah, there you go. And then you hold your breath for 90 seconds. And then you do another in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. And then again, hold your breath, but instead of for 90 seconds, 2 minutes. And then again, in, out, in, out, in, out. And then 2.5 minutes. It's amazing to be able to... I
can hold my breath like that.
You can. You actually
after 20 seconds, I'm like...
How many times have you done the Wim Hof breathing? How many times? What? I didn't hear that. Can you repeat that? Not once?
No, I've done it a couple of times. 3 times, maybe 4. But I'm still struggling to hold my breath.
Okay, so do it for a week. If you want, you could commit to our listeners that you'll do it for a week.
If you want, you can commit that you'll do babysitting for a week.
Babysitting, it's my baby.
Yeah, babysitting your baby. And I can do the Wim Hof breathing.
Okay, I'll take care of David while you do the Wim Hof breathing.
Got it. It's a deal. High five. Seal the deal.
Okay. So that is amazing, and it has benefits for your immunity. It has benefits for you spiritually. It's amazing. And it didn't start with that. It actually started with, you taught me a breathing exercise that was super simple, really fast to do. And why don't you
you do it. You demonstrate. Here you.
Why me?
Because you do it well.
I learned it from you.
It's okay. It's your interview.
Ugh. Okay, so you breathe in, and I'm just going to describe it now. You breathe in, and you hold it, and then you breathe in a little more, and then you breathe in a little bit more, and keep holding it, and you tap with your fingers on your chest, and you keep holding it, and then you let it out. Okay, so let's do it all together. And we'll do it twice, actually. We'll do it...
If you're driving, please keep your hand on the wheel. Actually, if you're driving, it's not a good idea to do that. Any type of breathing exercise, you need to have
focus on the road.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Breathe in. Keep holding. Breathe in a little more. A little bit more. Keep holding and tap, 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 tap on your chest with your fingers. Tap, 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 tap. And let it out. Okay, one more time.
It's so good. I feel lightheaded.
Yeah.
It feels great.
It's energizing. It wakes you up. If you're tired
you
from...
started using it in conferences to wake up the audience, right?
Yeah, if I'm speaking after lunch, everybody's asleep. So I will have everybody like, all right, you guys look pretty sleepy. Stand up, everyone, and we're going to do a little breathing exercise. And people look at each other and like, what? Who is this guy? And then they do it. And then I ask, who's feeling more energized and better now after you've done this? And everybody raises their hands. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so here we go. One more time. Breathe in. A little more. A little more. Keep holding. And tap, 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 tap. And let it out.
I feel good. How about you?
I feel great.
I feel good. Da, 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 da.
You know that I should. Da, 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 da.
I feel good.
Sugar and spice. Okay, so that was the breathing. Oh, and also, since we're physical beings, yes, the expression, what was the thing that Wayne Dyer said? We're not human beings having a spiritual experience.
Spiritual beings having a human experience.
We're spiritual beings having a human experience. It's so powerful. It's such a mindset shift.
Because it's when you get into, it's almost like it can become an obsession of, oh, wow, I see more than this reality. And I listen to my intuition and miracles are happening in my life. And my whole life I had miracles happening, but I didn't notice it. And now I notice them and I want to learn more and I want to learn more. It's easy to forget about being here and go, la. Have you noticed that you had that in the beginning?
Yeah, well, I still get that. And I still need to feed myself, and I still need to...
Remember, take care of yourself, yes.
Yeah. And part of taking care of myself and feeding myself right, quote unquote, is actually praying and blessing my food before I start eating it, because that actually transmutes the food.
And that makes complete sense. So Dr. Emoto did the water experiment
yeah.
Where he attached words to bottles of water. And then he looked at the molecules of the water.
Yeah.
And a bottle that had the word anger on it, the molecules look...
Well, the crystals, he crystallized the water somehow.
And I think it just looked under a microscope. But I'm not sure. We're going to get back to you on that.
We'll put it into the show notes, the experiments with the water crystals, and you can see the differences.
Yes, you can see the difference of the word love created this beautiful chandelier-like crystal, and the word alone created this grayish, moldy, greenish-looking molecule that was really awful looking. And so when you bless your food, words are so powerful. Intention is so powerful to create your reality. When you bless your food, you transmute the energy in the food, and it will assemble better in your body.
Yeah, and he did this not only with water, with food too. Like he'd take rice. Yeah, he took rice and he let it sit for long periods of time. And the word on the rice that said hate or whatever just got gross and disgusting and super moldy, and it was like, yeah, it looked bad. And the one that said love or happiness or whatever, that one didn't get all disgusting. It developed maybe a little bit of mold, but 2 weeks or whatever of sitting out, it wasn't gross looking like the other one.
Right. So, wow, this was an incredible interview, and I love you, and I love your wisdom, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview you for your 300 episode. Confetti.
Thank you, baby. I couldn't have done it without you. You inspire me, and you give me so much joy and guidance and direction, and help me to be a better man and a better soul.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too.
And we love you too.
Yes, we do. Thank you for being a loyal listener to this podcast, and I look forward to lots more episodes with you. And so please let me know you're out there, and drop me a note, send me an email, Stephan@stephanspencer.com. Or if you'd like to post a review on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or wherever you listen, that's great too. I would love to see what you have to say about the podcast on those rating and reviews. And yeah, I do read them all.
Yes.
And all the stuff you're going to have heard in this episode, like the prayers and everything, will include in the show notes. So go to getyourselfoptimized.com for that.
Yes. And thank you for being here. And have a beautiful rest of your day or night, or wherever you are, whenever you are. Just remember that you are guided, protected, and loved.
So true.
Thank you for joining me on my mission to light people up and change lives around the world. I hope today's conversation inspires you to step up, go after the life of your dreams, and be who you want to be. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go to stellarlifepodcast.com for show notes, transcripts, and other cool stuff. And please subscribe, review, and help spread the word by sharing us on Facebook and Twitter. Have a lovely day, and I'll catch you on the next episode.